Our world continues to change and push us in ways we have not been challenged before. On this show, we talk about these challenges, how to be aware of them, face them, and overcome them in your life. This is David Waldas, creator of the Aligned Living System.
And I'm Nick Musica, Aligned Living Coach. Welcome to the Aligned Living System podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Aligned Living System podcast. This is David Waldas here with Nick Musica. Today's topic is where sustainable joy really comes from. We're talking about fulfillment. We're talking about sustainable happiness. And when I think of sustainable happiness, I think of fulfillment, like the idea that I get up in the morning and I'm excited about my day, that I'm excited about what I'm up to, I'm excited about what's happening. And, we live in a culture right now that is looking for the immediate gratification, looking for how do I make this not good feeling that I have become a good feeling. And the moment we start from that place of I don't feel good, what can I do to make myself feel good? We're basically patching the holes in the tire. And the core of Aligned Living is about our own stability, about what we're bringing into the world, about how we show up with ourselves and how we show up in the world. And so it makes sense that as we look at that through the lens of where's our sustainable enjoyment of being, our sense of fulfillment, that it doesn't come from patching the tire. And so lots of ways we can go with this conversation. Welcome, Nick. Good morning,
Hey,
sir.
good morning, David Waldas. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Yeah, I mean, it's such an interesting thing, right? When I look at the way that our society is built,
Mm-hmm.
like whether there's just everything that we consume is based on the idea of making us not feel good and making us feel good. Like looking at the food that's commonly eaten, like we feel good when we eat it, and then we feel like shit. And then we
Mm-hmm.
go in that cycle. The news, it's like, oh, let's just feed the idea that there's something wrong, and then we'll throw
Mm-hmm.
a feel good story in there. And it's like this
Mm-hmm.
wave of emotions that people are just running. It's like you go out into the world and people are mean, and then you find the people that you like that are nice, and there's just this conflict and contrast where we're going through the world with I don't feel good, let me alleviate that with feel good. Here now I don't feel good, let me alleviate that with something that feels good,
Mm-hmm.
versus the idea of just unhooking from all the ridiculousness. And I love the idea of out creating what's around you. And when we start to look at what we're creating in our world and create it with our own focus, with our own intention, with our own commitment to what really wants to come through us, what wants to express through us, that is the only place our fulfillment comes from. And when we start to focus on that, we can out create all the negativity that's around us. Out creating, what's on the news, out creating what's on the world stage. And when we do that, like our focus becomes in our insular world. And that
Mm-hmm.
insular world impacts the greater world around us. And I think the popular idea is that we're supposed to go and get engaged in that bigger world where all the problems are. And, we just become a drop in that ocean. And that ocean takes us over and we become, part of that discomfort, part of there's something very wrong here. But when we bring it all home and create from that place, that place where we own our inner world and we get excited about what we're creating and it makes a difference and it's our genius coming through, it's our gifts coming through, that's how we create our own fulfillment, but it's also how we affect the world. And the popular idea is that no, you need to be out in the world, there's something wrong, fighting against it, um, versus going into this smaller space and creating something fantastic and then collecting other people that are doing the same thing. And that is a
Yeah.
change in this world, not the go get involved in the what's wrong.
Yeah. I mean, you described a couple things when at the top of the conversation when you're describing it. I think it was Psych 1 or Psych 2. I mean,
Mhm.
it's been a little while.
Funny how that happens.
But I remember hearing about this experiment where they were testing rats and cocaine. Right. And the rat would just keep on going back and hitting the button and getting high and getting high. Like it
Mhm.
would get high and then it would come down and then get high again. And that's
Until it would
pretty
die.
much, yeah, yeah, right.
Mhm.
Because it gets addicted, right? So it's chasing the high, then it's getting addictive, and then it can't
And
stop
it feels
itself.
like shit and it comes back. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. And right, it's that immediate gratification that you were talking
Mhm.
about. Right? Extreme version of it in a,
Yeah.
and like what do you think would happen? Like people are awful sometimes, right? What do you think would happen with this little thing in a cage with no other options?
Yeah,
Jesus.
but now we've proven it.
Right. Yeah. Do you think it'll take an hour or 2 hours? Let's find out. Um, Ridiculous. But the same, I mean, we're from the animal guy. We're all animals, right? And so
Mhm.
we react very similarly to these types of stimulation. And to your point, there's the good things and the bad things. It could be ice cream, it could be sugar, it could be the news, it could be the death scrolls on social media. It's all going back, hitting that button.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or or you just take yourself out of the cage. And that's what you're
Yeah. Yeah.
suggesting is
Yeah.
just remove
And put
yourself
yourself
from
in
the
your own
situation.
cage, which, when we're there, it feels like there's no limitations because it doesn't feel like a cage because it's so big,
Yeah.
but we're the core of it. And, I mean, it's so exciting. Like I just did some work this weekend with, I've talked a bit on here about how I've gotten some new downloads for the 10-week program that I do with
Mm,
Aligned Living. And I just finished figuring out how they integrate into the 10-week program now and like framed out the like an adjustment in the last 3 weeks of the 10-week program. And it's so exciting to me because it really does. It captures this feeling of operating from our core, what we're bringing to the world, what we're blocking out of our own self-expression, and
yeah.
it all comes down to that. It's I've always enjoyed art. It's always been part of my world and that creativity, but I don't think it ever occurred to me quite how important that is. That when we get inside of ourselves, like creativity doesn't come from outside of us. We may get inspiration out there, but that creativity of like, oh, there's something, uniquely showing up through me. And it may resemble other things, but when it comes through us, there's such a fulfillment in that. Um,
Hmm.
and it's so similar to what we're doing with energetically when we're restructuring our
Hmm.
energetic field. So it starts with us and it just comes out of us because
Hmm.
that's we talk, and this is a word that kind of is triggering to people, but we talk about when the world comes into us and then we respond to it, we're contaminated. And we're contaminated by all the mixture of shit and all the struggles and all the gunk out there. But when it starts from us and goes out, it's not contaminated yet. Like it's going out into the world and it's having this clean, uplifting experience, this creative
Yeah.
flow, this enjoyment internally, this fulfillment. And when that happens, like there's a purity to it, there's an innocence to it,
Yeah.
that changes everything around us. And the moment
Yeah.
that flow is reversed, we're contaminated. It's like the labs, that have positive pressure on them, so that if they're working with germs or whatever, that it doesn't get contaminated because the air is always pushing out of the lab, not
Yeah.
pushing in. And when we set up our energy that way, when we set up our internal space that way, um, we have a different experience because it starts out clean, it starts out pure, it starts out innocent.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a time I was we'll call it meditating. And what I was shown or specifically told was you don't solve the problems, you create from this space.
Hmm.
Uh
Yeah.
and so you get to choose. You get to choose if there's a space you want to create from, or if you want to go into those systems um and take it on the head and solve someone else's problems. And sometimes that's our best option, right? For reasons we need to pay the bills, we need to do the thing, whatever. Like,
Hmm.
but at
Yeah.
least go into it wide with your eyes open, right? Like,
Hmm.
and knowing that this isn't for me, right? It
Hmm.
just happens to be the option that's available today. But if you can work yourself out of that option
Hmm.
by doing what you're talking about
Hmm.
and transferring your efforts, your energy, your focus, however you want to frame it, however you want to think about it, into the thing that you want to actually build, you want to create, you want to
Hmm.
deliver out, or else, uh, or else you're not. I mean,
Hmm.
it's the classic. If you're not working on your dream, then someone else will be happy to have you working on theirs, right? Like
Yeah.
that's certainly part of it.
Yeah. And you're going to feel underappreciated. You're going to feel all these things versus
100%.
bringing it through
100%.
you.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
even,
Gets
I mean,
contaminated.
the definition of happy. What is, I think it doesn't have a good definition.
No, no, because it's temporary, and
Yeah.
like that's what
Yeah.
I love about the word fulfillment, but people don't engage with, they don't associate fulfillment with happiness. Like to me, like what is fulfillment? I get up in the morning and I'm excited about my day. I'm excited about my life.
Yeah.
And like what creates that? Well, being really clear and honest with ourselves and creating a life that matches that. But it ultimately comes from creating from an internal place rather than battling it out with our surroundings. And like you said, there's
Yeah.
times, the world requires that. I was having this flashback. I remember for those people that are in the Northeast, I was at a Wegmans. Everybody gets excited
Mm-hmm.
when they hear Wegmans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was November 20, whatever. It was the day before Thanksgiving. It was a Wednesday. And it was just so jam-packed in there, like cart to cart, like rush hour in
Mm-hmm.
LA.
Good
And
bang. Mm-hmm.
and this guy in front of me is on his cell phone. He's like, honey, never send me to the fucking store again. The day before. He's just like, you can see like the steam coming out of his ears. And sometimes life gives us those moments. And, like it should be a moment where we're just like, this isn't okay, like it's periodic, but not my day to day. I don't want to get conditioned to be able to just get comfortable standing here in this freaking chaos and go, yeah, this is life's hard. Like, no, day before Thanksgiving's at Wegmans is hard, but life can be pretty freaking awesome.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I I I forgot the cranberry and the turkey and the gravy.
Honey,
What?
can you run to Wegmans for me? This was a setup. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He was so
That's
pissed, but
funny.
it made my experience so much more enjoyable watching his misery.
Mm.
Because I was like, now I'm behind him laughing instead of miserable like him. Because I'm like, oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's 50 people like that in the same aisle.
Yeah. Can't believe
Uh-huh.
you sent me to the store today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
But
so bringing it back to uh fulfillment versus happiness,
mhm.
right? Or fulfillment.
Sustained happiness, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, or maybe the word happy is uh I don't is it overrated? I'm trying to
I
properly
think
think of
it's
that
used like
word.
candy, It's like, oh, here's a lollipop. Oh, I'm
Uh,
happy now. My lollipop's
that
gone. Now I'm not happy.
oh,
um
that's
versus
a
the
good one.
idea of like what does it look like when it's sustained, and that's why like it's I mean I like to use the word fulfillment, but it doesn't land for people because they don't think of it as like again, like I feel like it needs more words. Like I wake up in the morning and I'm excited about my day and I'm excited about my life and I'm excited about what I'm doing. I
Hmm.
don't wake up in the morning and go, oh, fuck. Or I feel like shit, or my stomach hurts, and so like the idea that we can take care of our bodies, we can take care of our mind, we can create a life that isn't that we wake up in the morning and we smile because what's in front of us, and then we're excited and maybe sometimes a little terrified because you're like, shit, this is pushing me, but we're alive,
Hmm.
and people like our society like it when we don't feel uh like that flat line, for most people it's anxiety, for most people it's like, oh, there's something wrong, there's a threat. Think about like what was it like for people before our society was the way it is, and they could open and like there was an aliveness, they had to get outside, they had to go hunt for their food, or they had to take care of themselves in some way. There was a certain something required of them to survive. And I don't think they woke up in fear. I think they woke up in this vitality that said, I need to go take care of myself and my family, or I need to go, you know, do the things that are required in order to be alive. And I'm sure if they got behind, it turned into fear, but it's just missing from our society. And so the evolution of that to me is creativity. The evolution of that is expression. The evolution of that is doing something meaningful, allowing it to come through you and impacting the world.
Yeah, I have nothing to respond back to that one. That yes, everything you said, 100%. I love how you said the evolution of.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But we're devolving it. Like
Yeah.
we're turning into, now the threat is getting on the subway. The threat's going to school. The threat is driving to work. right? Because we need some sort of aliveness. But we can steer it either way. We can steer it through self-expression. We can out-create the threat to where we're excited about life, or we
Yeah.
can just get into this mild anxiety that most people live in now. This, this sense of dread, the sense of, that's just fed by everything in our society. The idea that going, like on that cycle of things aren't okay. Oh, they're okay. Like lollipop. Oh, I'm better. Oh, lollipop's gone. I'm not okay. Oh, here's another lollipop. I'm better.
Yeah.
Like, like
Yeah.
it's like what that does to people's nervous systems and adrenals and they're just on this constant up and down cycle. And to me, like that's like, yes, there's this whole spiritual side to aligned living, but the idea of stabilizing ourselves when we're not taking a ride, that's being offered to society now, of that there's something very wrong. Oh, now you feel good. Oh, there's something very wrong. Now you feel good. It's just like, is that really why we're here on this planet to live that, to survive that, to struggle through that and have our moments? Like, fuck that.
There seems to be a element of easy in all that.
Hmm.
Like it's
You mean easy in the suffering and easy in the
yeah, yeah.
anxiety? Yeah. Well, I would say lazy. And that's I'm sure people love hearing that, but but it's non-responsibility. It's like if I just default, that's what I get. My default now is I'm unhappy. Oh, wait, now I'm happy. Now I'm unhappy. Like, well, take fucking charge. Like, do you like this cycle? Take fucking charge. And we go, well, I don't know how to do that. And to me,
Yeah.
like that's what this whole thing is about, is taking charge. And it doesn't mean it's gonna be perfect. It doesn't mean we're not gonna have our ups and downs, but we have the tools to do something about it. We have the tools to right our ship, and we also have the we're in touch with what it takes inside of us to bring it forward into the world, and we just need to find the focus and the will inside of ourselves to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw something on, and I always forget. I'm good at doing this. Saw something on LinkedIn about someone asking, about I'll be ready to jump into entrepreneurship when I get like a little bit of support. And they're like, then you're never going to be ready to jump into
Yeah.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And that
Um,
support isn't going to stick around. Like it's going to come and go, and you
yeah,
have to be the stability in it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're talking from that perspective, but way broader.
Yeah, in life, right? Like,
Yeah,
why are we
yeah,
not happy? Why are we? Because
yeah,
we're letting the waves of life, you know, move us up and down, as opposed to claiming our out creating those waves.
yeah. And also being okay with those waves when you choose the right path. I mean, those waves are
Yeah,
coming.
yeah,
Things are going
yeah,
to be
yeah,
hard one way or the
yeah,
other. Things are going to be
yeah.
challenging one way or the other.
And
It's
what are we
just a matter of,
stabilizing off of? Like I remember seeing
yeah,
this,
yeah.
like this diagram of like how a oil drilling well, like on the ocean is set up. That it's not something that sits on the surface of the ocean and floats up and down with the waves. It's like 30 meters below the surface, and there's this big ballast, that's adjustable to hold the weight to keep
Hmm.
the tower basically up above the ocean. And so
Hmm.
that the surface of the ocean can be going up and down, but the 30 meters below the surface is a stabilized place that isn't moving up and down. And that's
Hmm.
what the oil well, or whatever they call that tower, is stabilized off of. And the same thing in life. If we stabilize off of the surface experience, off the right now experience, like we're up and down, up and down, up and down. But if we stabilize it off of this deeper part of ourselves, our truth, our focus, our kind of get in touch with our mission here and real purpose in our being, and we stabilize off that, the ocean can move up and down. And we feel it, but we don't move with it in the same way. And of
Yeah,
course, we'll get hooked. We'll take the bait and
yeah,
times and go,
yeah,
oh, this is a good one. I think I'll take a ride with that.
yeah,
But it's not our normal experience, which, in a world where that is the normal experience, like it's crazy. Like what do people's nervous systems look like? What does it feel like inside of ourselves where we're just up and down, up and down, up and down, and so what do people do? Like why is depression the tool? because it shuts it down. Like I'm so tired of going up and down. Oh, depression. Here's a great option now. Now I can just stay down. I don't have to deal with all this fluctuation. I don't have to deal with all this. It's so hard dealing with all that fluctuation. So I'm gonna get depressed. And now that I'm depressed, like that solves that because now I'm deadened to it. All those sensors that were reading all this, that were getting overstimulated, they get to stop. Like, oh, here's a solution. And it's the opposite solution of out creating it. It's the opposite solution of finding your inner place where you want to express through and your purpose and all that fulfillment aspect of it. But it does something. And you can see why depression is so high because it stops that freaking cycle, but it's the opposite of the solution. It's just a way to unhook. And to me, it's like I get it, and I can see why depression is so high right now and has been, and people are looking for outs. But the answer is on the far end of the spectrum, and it's hard for people to recognize that it's about claiming who we are and what we want to create and the life we want, and stop playing along in this fucking game that's been handed to us.
So
And
then what,
going
so
bullshit.
what would be a good first step to correct that, do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I think we've had that on here where we asked a whole bunch of times, is right. Like hop into that free video class, right? Like
Mm,
here's the tool for stabilizing. Here's the tool for
hmm.
going, here's where that spot is inside you that you can create from.
Yeah.
And here's how to stay there. And of course, the programs we offer, like I'm so excited about the upgrades that just came to the 10-week program because it
Hmm.
it locks it in at a whole nother level. And I'm just completing the first cycle of people through that, and it's just so fun to watch the next level of stability that happens with it. And I've been working with people with my one-to-one clients and watching what happens with it. It's like another level of this is how I want to express myself. Because that out creating, this is what we have to do now. We have to find that place inside of ourselves that wants to create and create with it. It's the only way we can contend with all that stimulus and all the bullshit going on out there because we need something else to focus on. And if we don't, we have the option of taking the ride, maybe doing okay with it, keeping our head above water, or well, depression is the most common other option that people are engaging
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. And the anxiety that typically couples it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Because you know you
and
can't stay there.
yeah, so in the show notes is the free video class. Like just hop in there. Um, And it's interesting to me, like, as I'm feeling myself talking about this, like I've reached a point where I'm just like not entertaining this. And it's funny, Chucky, Nick's cat, came in
Hmm.
before we talked and kind of gave me a little boost around this. It's like I'm not an animal communicator, but somehow when Nick's cat talks to me, I hear it,
Hmm.
which is awesome. And I don't know if I'm borrowing some of Nick's superpowers or what, but it's just like stop fucking around. Like get really clear. Bring some sharpness to this because this isn't something that people are going to change through a blunt like, well, here's another option for you. Do you like this option? It's like stop fucking around. Like you're going to end up depressed, you're going to end up full of anxiety, you're going to end up taking this roller coaster ride. Or you can take charge and here's how to take charge. And
Yeah. Yeah.
like that may feel a little bit piercing, that may be feel a little bit intense, but it's the reality of it. And we aren't going to change unless we get really clear with ourselves and go, well, fuck, like I've just been taking this ride and it's not working for me. I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. In fact, I wake up in the morning and I don't feel good and I'm fucking done.
Hmm. I mean, you're talking about bringing yourself forward,
Yeah, absolutely. Taking charge.
essentially.
And
Yeah.
with the tools to do it, not just I'm ready to take charge, but I don't know what to do about it. Right? That's how most of us feel. We need
Yeah.
the tools to do it. We need the tools to restructure our energy field, to restructure our sense of awareness of self and go, okay, like I've been referencing out there for years and it's been
Yeah. Yeah.
taking me on
Yeah.
all these rides. I'm
Yeah.
referencing here. I'm bringing this to the world. And
Yeah.
I don't really give a shit about what's happening out there. I do, but I don't give a shit from the perspective that says I need to fluctuate what I'm bringing because that's a
Right.
mess. In fact, I
Right.
need to double
Right.
down on what I'm bringing because that's a mess
Yeah. And adjust from there.
and adjust from there. Yeah.
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 Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah. Yeah.
episode, man. It's funny. I can feel that in me of just like, I'm just done playing. Like there's nothing out there to play in. Um,
Mm.
it all starts from here and comes out. And when we bring that to other people doing the same thing, God, what we create. even just doing it from ourselves, what we create, and how empowering and how uplifting and how it forces us to just start taking care of this vessel that we live in. And we start eating differently. We start thinking differently. We start wanting to move more. Like we start to feel inspired by life,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to dread or depression or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, like the recipe of,
Oh man.
being out in that world. That's what that creates. It's nobody's fault. When we consume it, that's what we
Totally.
get. When you eat like shit,
Totally.
you feel like shit. Like that's it. Like the world is offering you shit. And if you consume it, you're going to feel like shit. And if you already feel like shit, it's because you're consuming it. It's not something you're doing wrong. It's something that you can do differently and get really different results.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome,
Good
brother.
chat.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for listening, and have a great week. Hopefully you're feeling inspired. Go click on that free video course, and see what we're talking about.
Forget
But
it. Mm-hmm.
yeah, powerful stuff. Stop fucking around out there. All right, have a great week. See y'all next week. We hope you enjoyed listening to today's podcast. And if you did, please subscribe so you can catch the next episode. If you want to learn more about the Aligned Living System and how it could support you in your life, check out davidwaldas.com.